New Understanding on the Life and Death of Life. Xiefeng. April 3, 2011. The issues of life and death with regard to life do not exist. The only issue is that of conversion. So-called life and death are only false appearances which have mistaken the existence and disappearance of the carriers of life for those of life itself. It is a misunderstanding of life to say that it is born or dies. Since people do not understand the whole truth of life and its length, they define it mistakenly by way of their limited vision. Morning bacteria have no idea of the first and last days of months. Cicadas are unaware of spring and fall. Bacteria that emerge in the morning and die in the evening have no experience of what days are like. Cicadas that are born in spring and die in fall cannot understand the passage of seasons. Butterflies who fly and dance among flowers will never know the existence of winter. Humans cannot see the past or future, so humans always measure the length and depth of life against the more transient life. How do we react to morning bacteria saying that there are no dark nights? What do we think when cicadas say that there is no spring or fall? How do we feel when people tell us that there are no previous or future lives? People often talk about life and death by saying that someone is born or has died. Actually, what they refer to is only the birth, growth, and death of their flesh, the carriers of lives, not their life. Therefore, it is necessary to redefine the life and death of life. A person's downward conversion from the human world to a lower life space is death. A person's horizontal transmigration back to the human world is half death. A person's upward conversion from the human world to a higher life space is life. More specifically, a person is dead if they transmigrate to the plant world, the animal world, hell, the frozen layer, or the inflamed layer. A person is half dead and half alive if they transmigrate back to the human world. A person gains life if they advance toward any of the three levels of heaven, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. It is up to everyone to choose for themselves whether they go to death, half death, or life. Hence, we can see that some people are marching downward, some are lost on the road, and some are proceeding to a more wonderful rebirth. Reincarnation and abortion. Xiefeng. July 8, 2011. What is a fetus? In Chinese, the word translates to a house that is built over a period of about 1 month. Note, fetus is written in Chinese as, the left part means month and the right part means pavilion. Zygotes are less than 1 month old and embryos are less than 2 months old and neither can be called fetuses, rather, they are only fertilized eggs. Is an unfertilized egg a life? Of course not. A chicken can only hatch from one which has been fertilized, only when the time is right for it to do so, and only then can we call it a life. Can we call a fertilized egg a life? No, because it has no self-awareness. Only those things with self-awareness can be called lives, otherwise, man-made mechanical devices such as trains and cars would qualify as such. The meaning of a fetus is the house that is built within 1 to several months and it is therefore not a life, but the house for a life that will come to live inside of it. On the matter of reincarnation, it is the spiritual entity, namely, the soul of a life that enters into the house which is built for it. It is only when this soul of a life enters into a fetus that it becomes a life. When does the soul of a life reincarnate? Reincarnation usually happens at about 10 days before birth, while most of the process happens during the 3 days before birth. Many cases from examples from throughout history in different cultures prove this. The conclusion leads us to believe that fetuses in wombs can be called lives from only about 10 days before their births, otherwise they are not lives, but houses waiting for new lives to enter. Christianity and Buddhism regard abortions as sins because they kill lives. Such views are wrong because they do not reflect the facts. If we take a fertilized egg or a fetus as a life, then the concepts of heaven, hell, and reincarnation cannot exist because many new lives are born, many old ones die continuously, and one could only live for one life as a human, and this is clearly not true. Should a young girl who becomes pregnant after having sex without any knowledge and methods of contraception abort her growing embryo or fetus? Please do not preach morality here. It is useless at this time, and we should only consider the ramifications of whether she should carry to term or not. If you do not agree that she should abort, would you be willing to be responsible for the nursing and rearing of her child? If you will not do this, but speak loudly against her abortion and say that abortion is a sin and a crime, please explain where your moral responsibility is. Lifechanyuan is the final course for human beings. Everything is concluded by the final course.